Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Friday, January 23rd, 2026. If you were looking for a sign that AI is replacing jobs, Amazon just gave you 14,000 of them. The retail giant is cutting deep into its corporate workforce to pivot resources toward AI, explicitly citing automation as a driver. But the shift isn't just economic, it's psychological. Runway has released data proving that 90% of humans can no longer tell the difference between real video and AI generation. We have officially reached the post-reality era. Also today, Google acquires Hume AI to give Gemini emotions. Apple is secretly building an AI pin, and YouTube will soon let creators replace themselves with AI clones. But before we dive into the rundown, are you drowning in dense legal text? Gemini is the new audio intelligence platform that turns 100-page healthcare or energy mandates into 5-minute executive briefings. Whether you are navigating Bill C-27, Canada, or the CMS 0057F interoperability rule, USA, our AI agents decode the liability so you don't have to. Start your specialized audio briefing today at jamgamine.com. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now, let's unravel the news.
I was looking at the calendar this morning, Friday, January 23rd, 2026. And usually when we prep for these deep dives, I'm sifting through the stack, the drill, just looking for the signal in the noise.
Right. Another chip is 5% faster. A model gets a slightly bigger context window.
Exactly. Incremental stuff. The kind of things that make for a polite nod at a dinner party but don't really change the world overnight.
Yeah, the usual tech is marching forward rhythm. It's comfortable. It's predictable.
It is. But looking at the sources we have today,
Yeah.
honestly, it feels different. It feels like the incremental phase just ended and the consequences phase just slammed into gear.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
We aren't looking at theory anymore. This stack, it reads like a history book that's being written in real time, and the ink is still wet.
I know what you mean. There's a specific weight to today's news. It's almost heavy. You look at the Amazon story and the Runway data and then the hardware updates. It feels like a convergence point.
Convergence is the perfect word. We have spent, the last 3 years talking about the potential of AI.
Oh, imagine when it can do this, or imagine when it disrupts that. It was all future tense.
All future tense. And suddenly, on this specific Friday, the theory just evaporated. The reality just landed with a massive thud on the table. We're seeing a fundamental shift in the structure of work, the nature of truth, and even how we connect emotionally.
And it's hitting every vertical simultaneously. That's the part that's so jarring. It's not just a software update. We're seeing it in labor markets with the Amazon numbers. We're seeing it in human perception with that Runway study.
Oh, that study.
And we're seeing it in physical space with Tesla and Apple. It's a systemic shock.
So here is the mission for today. If you're listening to this, whether you're an investor watching your portfolio, a developer trying to code the future, or honestly, just someone trying to figure out if your job description is going to exist in 18 months, you need to lean in.
Absolutely.
We are going to unpack 4 massive pillars today.
And it is a relentless lineup. I mean, there's no filler in this stack.
Not at all. We can start with Amazon. And folks, I want to be really clear. This isn't just another tech layoff story. This looks like the labor quake we have been warning about for 2 years. Is white-collar automation finally here? Spoiler alert, the numbers say yes.
And then we have to pivot to something that, I'll be honest, it kept me up last night. The end of seeing is believing. Runway released new data on their video generation tech, and the statistics on human perception are, well, they're terrifying.
Terrifying isn't hyperbole there. We will definitely get to that. Then we're looking at the battle for emotional intelligence. Google is making a massive move to literally buy empathy for its AI.
Which is a whole can of worms in itself.
And finally, the hardware race. Apple's rumors versus Tesla's robots. The future is coming at us from 2 completely different directions.
It's a lot to cover. It's a huge day.
It's a massive stack. But we're going to make sense of it. So grab your coffee, maybe take a deep breath. Let's dive in. Dramatic music. Okay, let's just start with the elephant in the room. The story that I think is going to be dominating every dinner table conversation this weekend, Amazon.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. The big one.
The headline is just brutal, plain and simple. Amazon is cutting 14,000 corporate jobs. And that starts next week.
Next week.
I just want to pause on that number for a second. 14,000. That's not a rounding error. That is the population of a small town. Gone in days.
It's a staggering number, but to really understand the impact, you have to contextualize it. That 14,000 is just the first wave of a larger purge of 30,000 roles. We are looking at roughly 10% of their entire office workforce.
And you just said the key word there.
Office.
Office. I want to double click on that word. Office.
Because this is a crucial distinction. Historically, when we talk about Amazon and automation, what's the mental image?
It's the warehouse. It's the Kiva robots moving shelves. It's the packing arms. We always think of blue-collar automation.
Exactly. We think of physical labor being replaced by machines. But that is not what is happening here. These cuts are surgical, and they are targeting the white-collar heart of the company.
Yeah, where are they hitting?
We're seeing these cuts hit technology, human resources, marketing, and finance.
The safe jobs?
Precisely. The jobs you went to university for, the jobs that were supposed to be immune to the robot uprising because they required thinking and planning and human connection.
Well, what really strikes me about this, looking at the report on Andy Jassy's comments, he isn't even trying to spin this. There's no corporate doublespeak.
Not at all.
Usually you hear CEOs say, oh, it's economic headwinds or we're right-sizing for the market. Jassy is basically saying the quiet part out loud.
He really is. His comments were incredibly explicit. He said, effectively, that Amazon is automating repetitive tasks with AI tools. He is drawing a direct, bright red line between the deployment of generative AI and the removal of human staff.
It's almost shockingly honest.
It is. And the second part of his statement is just as critical. Where is that money going?
Right. It's not like they're just pocketing the savings to boost the stock price for a quarter.
No. He explicitly said that capital saved from these salaries is being funneled directly back into high-growth areas, specifically AI development and cloud infrastructure.
So it's a self-feeding loop.
It's a perfect, brutal, self-feeding loop. They are firing humans to buy more compute, which makes the AI better, which then allows them to fire more humans.
That's dystopian. But let's unpack the how here. Because automating repetitive tasks in a warehouse, that makes intuitive sense to me. A robot picks up a box, moves a box. But in marketing, in HR, what does an automated repetitive task even look like in a corporate office setting?
This is where we have to talk about agentic workflows. And that term is going to become part of our daily vocabulary very, very soon.
Okay, define that for me. Because agent is a buzzword we hear a lot. How is an agent different from, say, me asking ChatGPT to write an email?
It's a great question, and it's a critical distinction. So asking ChatGPT to write an email is a chat interface. You give a command, it gives a response. It's a one-off. It's passive. You are the driver. The AI is the passenger reading you the map.
Okay, that makes sense.
But agentic workflow flips that dynamic entirely. You don't give the AI a command. You give the AI a goal, and it figures out the steps to achieve it. It has agency. It can use tools, access data, and make decisions on its own.
Okay, so give me a real-world example in the context of these layoffs. Let's take HR, since that was one of the hardest hit departments. What's the workflow there?
All right, think about a mid-level HR role. A huge part of that job might be compliance and recruitment screening. In the old world, a human has to open 500 resumes, right? Check them against a list of requirements, flag the ones with missing certifications, then draft and send emails to those candidates to ask for the missing docs, and then finally compile a shortlist for the hiring manager.
Right. It's a lot of clicking, reading, emailing. It's repetitive, but it requires some judgment. You have to know what a proper certification looks like versus a fake one.
It used to require judgment. Now, an agentic workflow works like this. You give the system a single goal. Find me the top 10 candidates for this senior engineer role who have an active AWS Solutions Architect certification.
And it just does it.
It just does it. The agent opens the files, it reads them, understanding context, not just keywords. It identifies the gaps. It autonomously writes and sends polite, personalized emails to candidates asking for the missing information. It waits for the replies. It parses the attachments. It verifies the new documents, updates the candidate file, and then presents the final verified list to the hiring manager.
So it does the work of 3 people in probably 30 seconds.
Probably less.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get tired, it doesn't make typos, and it doesn't take a lunch break. So the repetitive task isn't just move data from column A to column B. It's coordinate a complex, multi-step process that involves communication and decision-making.
That is what's being automated, the coordination.
Exactly. It's the coordination that is being automated. And that is why middle management is squarely in the crosshairs. What is a middle manager, really? They are essentially a layer of human routers.
A human API.
A human API. They take information from below, they summarize it, and they send it up. Or they take orders from above, they break them down into smaller tasks and send them down. AI is infinitely better at routing information than humans are.
But hold on, I have to wonder, is this purely about efficiency? Because Amazon stock always jumps when they announce cost-cutting. Is Andy Jassy just playing to the gallery here? Is this a performance for Wall Street, or is the technology actually that good now?
That's the skepticism we have to have, right? And there's certainly a theater aspect to this. Announcing AI efficiency is catnip for investors right now. It signals you're on the cutting edge.
Right, it's the 2026 version of saying blockchain in 2017.
It is. But we have to look at the internal memos that have been leaked. Amazon has been piloting these agents in their Project Kuiper division for 6 months. They claim a 40% reduction in administrative overhead in that division alone.
40%.
40%. So, while the timing of the announcement is very convenient for the stock price, the underlying mechanism is real. They aren't firing these people hoping the AI works. They are firing them because the pilot program proved the AI works.
Man. So if you are a listener working in a Fortune 500 company right now, maybe you're in finance, maybe you're in marketing, this has to be sending a chill down your spine, because Amazon is arguably the most data-driven, metric-obsessed company on earth.
That's the key point. Amazon is the bellwether. If they have run the numbers, and trust me, Amazon runs the numbers on everything, and they have decided that 40% of their marketing and finance workflows are automatable, every other CEO is going to be looking at their own balance sheet next week and asking their VPs, why aren't we doing this?
It sets a precedent. It makes it acceptable.
It normalizes it. It normalizes the lean AI native corporation. We are moving toward a new model where companies try to become significantly smaller in terms of headcount, but significantly larger in terms of output and revenue.
Which raises a massive question about the future of the corporate ladder.
I was just thinking that.
If you automate the entry-level work, the resume sorting, the report writing, all the stuff interns used to do, and you automate the mid-level management that coordinates that work, how do you train the next generation of executives?
You've just hit on the apprenticeship gap. It's a huge looming problem. Historically, you learned how to be a VP by being a manager. You learned to be a manager by being an associate. You did the grunt work.
Right, you had to do the boring stuff to understand the business from the ground up.
Exactly. If the grunt work is now done by a server farm in Virginia, how does a junior employee ever gain the context, the scar tissue, the experience to become a leader?
It's like they're burning the bridge behind them as they cross it.
They are, and Jassy seems to be betting the farm that they don't need those rungs anymore. Or maybe the executives of the future are just people who are really, really good at writing the high-level goals for the AI.
Prompt engineering is C-suite skill.
Maybe. They need a handful of brilliant AI developers and cloud architects, and everything else is just overhead. It's a brutal calculus.
And it signals that we are leaving the hype phase of AI in the workplace. We are so done with the cool demos, we are entering the implementation phase.
And implementation is messy.
Implementation has casualties. And unfortunately, those casualties are starting to look like 14,000 pink slips in Seattle.
And just think about the macroeconomics of this for a second. You mentioned they are moving the money from salaries to compute. We are literally trading human labor for electricity.
Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say out loud.
But that is the fundamental economic shift of the AI era. The marginal cost of cognitive labor is trending towards zero. If you can replace a $150,000 a year marketing manager with $5,000 worth of GPU credits, capitalism dictates that you do it. The system demands it.
But then what happens to the economy? I mean, this is the Ford paradox all over again, isn't it? Henry Ford famously paid his workers enough so they could afford to buy the cars they were making.
Right. He was creating his own market.
Amazon seems to be firing the workers who buy their products in order to build the bots that make the products. It just feels unsustainable.
It's a heavy start to the day, I know, but we have to face it. The definition of efficiency has changed overnight. But, you know, if the workplace is becoming unrecognizable, just wait until you hear what's happening to our perception of reality itself.
Yeah, this next story. If Amazon is about our wallets, this one is about our minds. Sci-fi glitch sound.
We need to talk about the death of seeing is believing.
We have a new study out from Runway. This is about their Gen 4.5 model. And the statistic that jumped out at me, I had to read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating, is that 90% of participants could not tell the difference between real footage and AI-generated clips.
That number 90%, that's the tipping point. Runway themselves are calling it a societal tipping point, and I do not think that is marketing hyperbole. I think it might be an understatement.
Let's break down the test so the listener understands we aren't talking about, blurry UFO footage here. How rigorous was this study?
It was fairly robust. They took over 1,000 participants, just regular people, not professional video editors or VFX artists. They showed them 25-second clips. Some were real video shot on high-end cinema cameras, beautiful, pristine footage. Some were image-to-video clips generated by Runway's Gen 4.5.
And the task was just simple, binary.
Just a binary choice. Is this real or is it AI? That's it.
5 seconds doesn't sound like a long time.
It isn't, but think about how we consume media today. TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. We make judgments on truth in milliseconds. If you can fool someone for 5 seconds, you have effectively fooled them forever in the context of social media. The impression is made.
That's a very fair point. So what were the results?
It's just staggering. Only 99 people out of over 1,000 scored 75% or higher.
So less than 10%.
Less than 10% could even moderately tell the difference. That means the vast, vast majority were basically just guessing. Their accuracy was around 50%. It was a coin toss.
Wow.
But here is where it gets really interesting, or really scary, depending on your perspective. The uncanny valley has reversed.
Wait, explain what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Usually the uncanny valley means things look almost human but slightly wrong, so they look creepy. Like the eyes are dead or the movement is stiff.
Exactly. Historically, the hardest things for CGI to render have been organic chaos. Nature, water flowing, leaves blowing in the wind, light reflecting off irregular glass. Physics engines really struggle with that because the math is just insanely complex.
Right. I remember playing video games where the water always looked like blue jelly.
Precisely. But Gen 4.5 isn't using a physics engine like a video game. It's using a diffusion model. It doesn't calculate physics. It understands the probability of what a leaf looks like when the wind blows on it, based on having seen 1 billion images of leaves in the wind.
It's learned the vibe of reality, not the rules.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And in this study, the 2 categories that humans found hardest to grade were nature scenes and buildings. In fact, participants actually rated the AI versions of nature as more convincing than the real video in many cases.
That is mind-bending. So the AI-generated footage of a forest looked more like a forest than the actual footage of a real forest. How is that possible?
Because the AI is optimized for what we expect to see. It's the platonic ideal of a forest. Real life has imperfections, right? Real life has bad lighting, an awkward lens flare, a weird shadow from the camera operator. The AI polishes all of that away. It doesn't create reality, it creates hyper-reality.
And Gen 4.5 is currently at the top of the artificial analysis rankings for text to video. So this is the absolute cutting edge we're talking about.
It's the state of the art.
So let's connect this to the bigger picture. We are in an election year cycle in many parts of the world. We rely on video for news, for evidence in court. If 90% of people cannot verify what they are seeing with their own eyes, what happens to the entire concept of evidence?
That is the trillion-dollar question. The phrase, seeing is believing, is foundational to human society. It's how we built legal systems, journalism, trust. If I see it, it happened. That social contract is now broken. It is officially dead. We are entering an era of zero-trust media.
Zero-trust media? That just sounds exhausting.
It is. It means every single time you see a clip of a politician saying something controversial or a video from a war zone, your default position has to be that it is a fabrication until proven otherwise.
But let's be real. Who has the mental bandwidth for that?
Nobody. Absolutely nobody. We scroll, we have an emotional reaction, we share. The system isn't built for forensic analysis on every post.
And that's the danger.
Exactly. If verification standards like digital watermarking or cryptographic signatures, things like the C2PA standard, aren't baked into the browser itself, at a fundamental level, we are defenseless.
Runway says they are implementing C2PA standards, which is a good step. It's like a digital provenance chain for media.
It's a great step, but does your grandmother know how to check a C2PA signature? Do you?
I barely know what that acronym stands for, to be honest. And with the speed this technology is moving, Runway's rolling out these image-to-video features to the public this week. The tools to fake reality are scaling much, much faster than the tools to verify it.
It's an asymmetric warfare. It takes 5 seconds to generate a lie that can swing an election. It takes 5 hours for a journalist to debunk it. And by then, the lie is already halfway around the world.
There's a philosophical angle here, too. If we can't trust our eyes, who do we trust? We end up relying on intermediaries, We end up relying on the platforms, on X, on Meta, on Google to tell us what is true.
Which centralizes power even more. We are outsourcing our perception of reality to the algorithms. If the algorithm puts a little "made with AI" tag on it, we disbelieve it. If it doesn't, we believe it. We aren't judging reality anymore. We are judging the metadata attached to it.
And remember, this is just video. If you combine this with what we're about to discuss next, the advances in voice AI, you begin to see a world where your senses are just completely, fundamentally unreliable.
That is the perfect segue. Because if we can't trust our eyes, maybe we can trust our ears. Or maybe the tech giants are coming for our feelings too. Let's talk about Google.
This is a story that might have flown under the radar because on the surface, it looks like a boring corporate acquisition, but I think the implications are huge. Google DeepMind has hired the CEO of Hume AI, a guy named Alan Cowan, along with 7 of his top engineers.
And just to clarify, this is one of those classic Silicon Valley acqui-hires, right? They didn't buy the whole company, but they basically bought the brains behind it.
Correct. It's a licensing agreement / talent raid. Hume AI is going to continue under a new CEO, Andrew Edinger, but the core visionary talent, Alan Cowan and his team, are now inside Google. And their mission is very, very specific.
It's the mission.
To integrate emotionally intelligent voice technology directly into Gemini.
Emotional intelligence. EQ. You know, we usually talk about AI in terms of IQ, how many parameters it has, how well can it code, can it pass the bar exam. Why is Google spending what must be a fortune on EQ? Isn't being smart enough for a chatbot?
You would think so, but I think we've hit a wall with purely functional AI.
Yeah.
We all know that feeling of talking to a smart speaker or a chatbot. It can give you the weather, it can set a timer, but it feels dead. It feels like you're talking to a database.
It's clunky. There's that awkward pause. The tone is always that flat, helpful, robotic monotony. You say something complicated and it just says, I did not understand that command. There's no grace.
Exactly. It's transactional. But Google sees the next frontier as being relational. The difference between a tool you use and a companion you trust is nuance. It's a hesitation in the voice. It's a slight change in pitch to show excitement or empathy. That is what Hume AI specializes in. They built models that don't just understand the words you say, they understand how you say them.
So they're analyzing the prosody, the rhythm, the tone, the emotional content of the speech itself?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you say the words, I'm fine with a sigh, a normal bot just hears the text. User is fine. Hume's model hears the sigh, analyzes the downward inflection, and understands user is probably sad or stressed.
And how does the AI respond to that? Does it just log it?
No. This is the key. It responds with empathy. It might soften its own voice. It might pause and then ask, are you sure? You sound a little down. Is there anything I could help with?
That is incredibly powerful and also incredibly manipulative.
It is. It's both. But think about the user experience. Google wants Gemini to not just answer my question, but to read the room. And connect this back to the depth of truth we just discussed.
Yep.
If video is unreliable, voice becomes the primary interface for everything. We are moving toward ambient computing, talking to the air, talking to our devices. If that voice sounds human, if it gets us on an emotional level, we are going to form a much, much deeper bond with it.
It's the Her movie scenario. It's happening.
It's inevitable. And Google is not the only one doing this. This is part of a much bigger pattern.
No, not at all. Look at the moves. Google already put $3 billion into Character AI, which is all about AI personalities. Microsoft essentially absorbed the inflection, team remember inflection. Their whole pitch was supportive, empathetic AI.
Pi.
And Meta just grabbed the CEO of Scale AI. The big players are aggressively consolidating the small pool of talent that knows how to make AI feel human.
So why do you think that is? Why this sudden rush for personality?
Because intelligence is becoming a commodity. Every major model is a super genius now. GPT-5, Claude 4, Gemini Ultra. They can all code, they can all write, they can all reason. So how do you differentiate in a market where everyone is a genius?
You differentiate on vibe.
You differentiate on connection, on vibe. If I feel like Gemini is my friend who understands me and ChatGPT feels like a cold, brilliant calculator, I'm going to spend more time with Gemini. It's about user engagement and retention.
That is the key takeaway for any developers or product designers listening. Functionality is just table stakes now. It's the bare minimum. Personality and empathy are the new premium features. If your app is just smart, that's not enough anymore. It has to be charming.
But there is a huge risk here. if the AI is faking empathy, because let's be very clear, it doesn't feel anything, it's just predicting the next token in a sequence that humans would label as empathetic, isn't that a form of psychological deception on a mass scale?
It is. But if it makes the user feel better, does it matter that it's a simulation? That's the ethical trap we're walking into. If an elderly person is lonely and an AI companion makes them feel heard and cared for, is that a lie or is it a service?
That's a deep, deep question, and it gets even more complicated when you give that empathetic voice a physical body.
Which brings us to the vessel. We've talked about the brain, which is Amazon's efficiency, the visual imagination from Runway, the voice from Google and Hume. Now we need the body.
Hardware roulette. This is where things get really sci-fi. And we have two very different visions of the future clashing today. In the red corner, we have Apple. In the blue corner, we have Tesla. Let's start with Apple.
Okay, the report from the information today is fascinating. Apple is working on an AI pin.
And when I hear pin, my mind immediately goes to that humane AI pin disaster from a couple of years ago, the one that overheated and just, well, didn't work. Is this the same idea?
It sounds similar in form factor, but this is Apple. They don't usually ship a 1.0 product until the polish is almost perfect. They're describing a thin, flat, circular disc, aluminum and glass shell. Think of it like an AirTag, but maybe a bit thicker and much more premium.
What's inside it?
2 cameras, 3 microphones, a speaker, and a magnetic charging strip. It's designed to clip onto your clothing, like your lapel.
And what's the timeline on this?
They're projecting 2027. And the scale they're talking about is ambitious. They're aiming for 20 million units in the first year.
Okay, 20 million units is not a niche experiment. That is a full-on mass market play. But why? Why a pin? Why not just put all this into the next version of the glasses? Everyone thought Apple was going all in on Vision Pro and a future of AR glasses.
It seems to tie into their broader AI strategy. We also got news today about the Campos project. Apple is finally turning Siri into a full-blown AI chatbot in iOS 27.
About time.
And get this, they're reportedly paying Google $1 billion a year to use the Gemini model to power it. So the pin is likely the always-on extension of that supercharged Siri.
So it's about reducing friction.
Exactly. Pulling a phone out of your pocket is friction. Unlocking it is friction. Saying, hey, Siri, is friction. Apple wants Siri to see what you see and hear what you hear, constantly and passively. The pin is an ambient eye.
So it could whisper in your ear, hey, that person you just met, that's John, you met him 3 years ago at that conference in San Diego.
Precisely that. Or you're low on milk and the grocery store is on your right. It's proactive assistance.
But I have to play devil's advocate here. Humane failed spectacularly. Why does Apple think they can succeed with a lapel pin when others crashed and burned?
One phrase: ecosystem lock-in. Humane's fatal mistake was that it was a standalone device trying to replace your phone. You can't replace the iPhone. It's the center of our digital lives.
So Apple's version isn't a replacement?
No. Apple's pin will almost certainly be an accessory to the iPhone. It augments the ecosystem you are already trapped in. It's not instead of, it's in addition to. It offloads the sensing to the pin and the heavy processing to the phone in your pocket. That's a much smarter play.
So that's the Apple vision, AI on your lapel. It's subtle, it's personal, it's about augmentation. Now let's pivot to the heavy metal approach, Tesla.
This is the complete opposite of subtle.
Yeah.
Elon Musk was at Davos, and he dropped what I think is a bombshell timeline for Optimus.
The humanoid robot?
Yes. He's claiming they will start selling Optimus robots to regular customers, to people like you and me, by late 2027.
Late 2027, that is basically next year. That feels incredibly aggressive, even for him.
It is classic Musk optimism. But we have to look at the progress they are showing. He says they are already doing simple, repetitive tasks in Tesla factories. He claims that by the end of this year, they will be handling complex tasks in industrial settings.
And for the consumer version, what's the promise?
The promise is high reliability, safety, and, I'm quoting here, you can ask them to do basically anything.
Basically anything. That is a wild, wild promise. So clean my house,
Yeah.
walk the dog, cook dinner. The complexity of a home environment is infinite compared to a structured factory floor.
It is. In a factory, the floor is flat, the parts are always in the same bin. In my house, there are Lego bricks on the floor, the dog is running around, and the lighting changes every 5 minutes. It's controlled chaos.
So we have to check the reality on the ground with Tesla right now, because while he is promising robots in our kitchens, the robotaxi rollout in Austin is, well, it's happening, but it's been a bit bumpy.
It's a mixed bag, for sure. The news today is that unsupervised rides has started in Austin. That is a real milestone. There are no humans in the front seat for some of these cars. that is technically level 4 or level 5 autonomy in the wild.
It is. But the safety stats are a little concerning. They've had about 8 crashes in 5 months, and that's even with safety monitors still present in a lot of the fleet.
And when you compare that to the competition, specifically Waymo,
It's not even in the same league. Waymo has driven over 100 million autonomous miles. They completed 14 million paid rides in 2025 alone. They are the undisputed gold standard for safety and experience.
right, Tesla has this massive data advantage with 7.4 billion miles of supervised driving from regular Tesla owners using autopilot. But the transition to fully unsupervised is proving to be much harder than Musk admits publicly.
And the production of the Cybercab itself, the purpose-built car with no steering wheel. Musk himself admitted it's going to be agonizingly slow to start.
Because every part is new, they're reinventing the manufacturing process from scratch.
So when we look at that Optimus timeline of late 2027, we have to apply that same Tesla time filter. If a relatively simple car is agonizingly slow to build, a humanoid robot with thousands of custom actuators is going to be incredibly difficult to mass produce.
But the vision is what matters here for today's conversation. The contrast is so stark. Apple sees a future where AI is a whisper in your ear, an invisible assistant. Tesla sees a future where AI is a physical laborer in your home, a replacement for human work.
So which future are you ready for? Do you want the AI inside your head augmenting your reality, or do you want it walking around your living room doing your laundry? Because by 2027, it looks like we're going to be offered both.
And now think about the convergence with everything we've discussed earlier today. Imagine a Tesla Optimus robot. It has the physical body. Now give it the eyes of Runway's Gen 4.5 so it understands the visual world perfectly, maybe even better than we do.
And give it the voice of Google and Hume so it speaks to you with perfect, tailored empathy.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
An empathetic, hyper-realistic, super capable robot servant. It sounds like science fiction, but all of the individual components are sitting on the table today, right now.
It's a lot to process, but we aren't done yet. The industry itself is churning with some serious drama. We need to talk about what happened at Thinking Machines Lab. This story, I mean, you need to grab the popcorn for this one.
It really is a Silicon Valley soap opera, the Thinking Machines Meltdown.
So for those who don't follow the startup gossip, Thinking Machines Lab, or TML, was one of the darlings of the AI scene. Super high valuation, huge buzz, seen as a real competitor to the big guys.
But this week, it completely imploded. We have a classic power struggle. It's Barrett Zoph, the CTO, versus Mira Murati, the founder and CEO.
And it ended explosively. The reports from the New York Times and The Information paint this picture of a really chaotic, tense meeting. Zoph and 2 other co-founders basically confronted Murati. They were staging a coup.
They wanted control.
They wanted Zoph to take control of all technical decisions. They were deeply unhappy with the direction the company was going.
Why? What was the fundamental disagreement about?
It was about the exit strategy. The co-founders, including Zoph, were pushing hard for a sale to Meta. They wanted to cash out or merge. They saw the writing on the wall. Murati didn't. She wanted to stay independent and keep raising money.
But they were struggling to hit that $50 billion valuation target they'd set, right? The pressure must have been immense.
Exactly. And Murati's response to the coup,
She was not having it.
she effectively told Zoph to just do his job, and then she fired him on the spot. But it turns out Zoph had a golden parachute ready.
The betrayal. This is the juicy part.
He had been secretly talking to Sam Altman at OpenAI for months.
Of course he was. All roads lead to Sam. It's just the law of physics in AI now.
And not only that, immediately after Zoph got fired, 9 other senior employees walked out the door with him and went straight to OpenAI. It was a coordinated exodus.
Wow. And now Zoph is leading OpenAI's enterprise sales division. That seems like a weird pivot for a CTO.
It is a bit strange, but it signals a reorg at OpenAI to try and close the gap between their incredible research and their actual product sales. They need deeply technical people selling to technical enterprises.
But the takeaway here isn't just the gossip.
No.
It's the volatility. Thinking Machines Lab was supposed to be the next big thing, and yet even at that level, these labs are so fragile. A disagreement between founders can tear a multi-billion-dollar company apart in a single week.
It's a reminder that even the giants are standing on shaky ground. It really is the Wild West out there.
Okay, let's hit the quickfire round. There's so much else happening today, and we want to make sure you have the full picture. I'm going to throw these at you. Give me the headline and the so what.
Let's do it.
Music. 11 Labs released a full album. Liza Minnelli and Simon Garfinkel are on it. What is going on here?
So this is basically a proof of concept for ethical AI music generation. 11 Labs created an entire album where the artists, or in some cases their estates, actually co-created the tracks. They provided the voice data, 11 Labs provided the synthesis, and crucially, the artists kept the royalties.
So the labels are finally playing ball instead of suing everyone.
They are signing deals, not lawsuits. UMG, Warner, Sony, they are all involved. It proves that AI music doesn't have to be theft. It can be a new tool for creation. If Liza Minnelli's estate is okay with an AI generating a new track with her iconic voice because they get paid for it, that changes the whole ethical debate.
It turns a deepfake into an authorized replica.
Exactly.
Okay, next, space. Jeff Bezos is back. Blue Origin announced something called TerraWave.
This is a direct shot across the bow at SpaceX's Starlink. It's a constellation of 5,408 satellites. They are promising insane speeds up to 6 terabits per second, but they are targeting enterprise and government customers, not just rural homeowners. The planned launch is late 2027.
So the billionaire space race for internet dominance is just heating up.
It's entering a new phase. Starlink has a massive lead with 9,000 satellites already in orbit. But Bezos is coming for the high-end, high-margin data market. He wants to own the backbone of the internet in space.
YouTube. AI clones for Shorts creators.
This is wild. Creators can now make videos using an AI-generated version of themselves. You don't have to be on camera, you just type a script, and your AI clone performs the video.
Is that narcissism or is it efficiency?
A bit of both. Imagine a creator who can now pump out 50 videos a day in 10 different languages without ever leaving their bed. The scale is terrifying. But YouTube did include likeness detection tech, so at least you can't clone someone else without their permission.
But it's going to flood the platform with even more content. The noise level is about to skyrocket.
To the moon.
And finally, Anthropic. They released a new constitution for their AI, Claude.
This is the deep one. It's an 80-page document, and it's their guiding principles. It bans things you'd expect, like bioweapons discussion, obviously, but it also explicitly asks these deep philosophical questions about the moral status of AI models. It literally questions whether Claude might have some form of consciousness.
That stops me in my tracks. For a major lab to put that in writing.
It should. Anthropic is the safety-first lab. They are not prone to hype or marketing fluff. For them to formally put into their governing document that we need to start considering the moral rights of the software, that's a signal. It's a signal that they're seeing something emerging in the lab that the public isn't seeing yet.
They're preparing for a future where deleting a model might be considered, well, murder is too strong a word.
It's something close to it, something ethically significant.
Okay, let's try to bring all of this home, because my head is spinning, and I'm sure if you're listening, yours is too.
Let's synthesize it. Look at the narrative arc of today's news. It all fits together.
We started with Amazon automating the white-collar workforce, literally removing the human from the corporate loop to save money and fund the development of more powerful machines.
Then we saw Runway blurring the line of visual reality so effectively that 90% of us are functionally blind to what's real and what's not.
Then we have Google and Hume trying to automate empathy, creating AI voices that can understand us and maybe manipulate us better than we understand each other.
And finally, we have Apple and Tesla building the physical bodies, the pins on our chests and the robots in our homes to bring these powerful new minds out of the cloud and into our physical space.
It really does feel like we're living in a post-truth reality now. If I can't trust the video I see and the friendly voice I'm talking to is an AI that is emotionally profiling me, are we entering an era where we simply have to trust the algorithm to tell us what is real?
I think we're already there. We are outsourcing our perception of reality to these models, and that is the ultimate danger. If Amazon is firing humans to build a better AI, and that AI creates a reality that we can no longer independently verify, who is actually in charge?
And that leads me to the final provocative thought for the day. I keep coming back to that Anthropic constitution. They're asking about the moral status of AI.
It's the ultimate question, isn't it?
If Tesla's robots are walking around in our kitchens by 2027, and Google's voice AI has created a genuine emotional bond with us, at what point do we stop treating them as tools? At what point do we start treating them as something else?
And here's the other side of that coin. If we start treating our machines like people, do we start treating actual people like the 14,000 Amazon employees who just lost their jobs, like obsolete hardware? That seems to be the trade-off we're making.
If Amazon is firing humans to fund these tools, who exactly is this future being built for? That is the question I want you to carry with you into your weekend.
Stay critical. and question what you see.
And keep learning. We'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Friday, January 23rd, 2026. If you were looking for a sign that AI is replacing jobs, Amazon just gave you 14,000 of them. The retail giant is cutting deep into its corporate workforce to pivot resources toward AI, explicitly citing automation as a driver. But the shift isn't just economic, it's psychological. Runway has released data proving that 90% of humans can no longer tell the difference between real video and AI generation. We have officially reached the post-reality era. Also today, Google acquires Hume AI to give Gemini emotions. Apple is secretly building an AI pin, and YouTube will soon let creators replace themselves with AI clones. But before we dive into the rundown, are you drowning in dense legal text? Gemini is the new audio intelligence platform that turns 100-page healthcare or energy mandates into 5-minute executive briefings. Whether you are navigating Bill C-27, Canada, or the CMS 0057F interoperability rule, USA, our AI agents decode the liability so you don't have to. Start your specialized audio briefing today at jamgamine.com. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now, let's unravel the news.